Most people have a picture in their head when they hear the words Africa and future. It is often a picture that feels slightly delayed. Like a train that will arrive later. Like a student who is always behind. Like a place that must wait for the next wave to reach the shore. And you can feel this picture when someone asks that familiar question, when will Africa catch up? It sounds polite. It sounds normal. But it hides something. It hides the idea that the future has one direction and one center. It hides the idea that innovation is a gift that travels from a few famous places to everyone else. And if you sit with that for a moment, you may notice how small that story is. It is simple. It is easy. It is also often wrong. Because the more you look at how people really live, and how problems really get solved, the more you see that the future does not move in one straight line. It jumps. It bends. It appears in places where it has to. And sometimes the places that look behind are the places that learn to move first. That is the hook here. The talk is not only saying Africa is doing AI too. It is saying the world may be behind in understanding what AI is really for. And that idea can feel surprising because most of us have been trained to look in one direction for tech. We look to big companies, big labs, big headlines, big promises. We expect the next big thing to arrive through glossy products and smooth demos. But there is another way technology grows. It grows where need is sharp. It grows where the old systems are missing. It grows where people cannot wait. And once you see that, the question shifts. Instead of asking who will catch up, you start asking who has been building quietly, who has been learning to do more with less, who has been forced to make technology useful, not just impressive. So let us set the context in a grounded way. Africa is not one place. It is many places. Many countries. Many languages. Many daily realities. Some are urban, some are rural, some are in between. Some have strong networks, some have weak ones. Some have stable systems, some do not. And that variety matters because it changes what technology needs to be. A tool that works in a rich city with steady power and strong broadband may fail in a village where power cuts happen and travel takes hours. A service that assumes bank accounts and credit cards may fail in a place where cash is common and formal banking is rare. In those contexts, the best tools are not the most fancy tools. They are the tools that fit life. They are simple. They are resilient. They work on a phone. They work with low cost. They work with real constraints. That is why some of the most important digital habits and systems did not grow from comfort. They grew from necessity. The surface concept is this. Africa has already experienced a leap. Not a slow climb step by step, but a jump. When phones were rare, people did not slowly build landlines everywhere first. They moved to mobile. When banks were not reaching everyone, people did not wait for perfect traditional banking. They built ways to move money with phones. They built daily payments that fit street vendors, barbers, small shops, and families sending support. This is not just a story about tech adoption. It is a story about problem solving. It shows a pattern. When you do not have the old system, you do not waste energy protecting it. You build a new one. And this matters for AI because AI will not land on an empty field. It will land on a landscape already shaped by this kind of leap thinking. This is why the idea of catch-up feels off. Catch-up assumes one path. But leap thinking creates a different path. It is not behind, it is different. Now we move to the hidden assumption that many listeners may carry without realizing it. The hidden assumption is that AI is mainly about replacement. That it will remove jobs. That it will cut people out. That it will make humans less needed. And you can feel this assumption in many news headlines. Will writers be replaced? Will teachers be replaced? Will customer service be replaced? Will doctors be replaced? This fear is not silly. It is real in many places. If you have enough workers already, if you have systems that are built on having a lot of people doing stable roles, then AI can look like a threat. It can look like a machine moving into a full room and pushing people out. But what if the room is not full? What if the room has empty chairs everywhere? What if there is a shortage of teachers, a shortage of health workers, a shortage of trained experts? What if there are not enough people to do the work that needs to be done? Then the same tool looks different. It looks like a helper. It looks like a multiplier. It looks like a way for one person to carry more responsibility without collapsing. This is a crucial shift. It is not about saying AI is always good. It is about seeing that the same technology can have very different effects depending on the local reality. In some places it replaces. In other places it fills gaps. In some places it makes the rich richer. In other places it can widen access if it is built and deployed with that goal. So the deeper question is not is AI good or bad? The deeper question is what is the problem the technology is being designed to serve? Is it being designed to increase clicks? Is it being designed to increase trading speed? Is it being designed to cut labor costs? Or is it being designed to reduce a shortage, to expand education, to improve health decisions, to support farmers, to detect dangerous counterfeits, to translate knowledge into local language? That difference is everything. The third insight is the structural pattern under the story. The pattern is that infrastructure decides who gets a future. People often talk about AI as if it is only software. Like an app. Like a chatbot. Like a model floating in the cloud. But AI in real life is not just software. It needs pipes. It needs power. It needs connectivity. It needs data centers. It needs affordable access. It needs devices. It needs training. It needs a local ecosystem so people can build tools that match local needs. Without that, AI becomes something you consume, not something you shape. You become a user, not a maker. And when you are only a user, you are always behind because you are using tools designed for someone else. That is why the infrastructure story is not boring. It is the main story. Fiber lines, data centers, reliable networks, education pipelines, local compute capacity, all of these decide whether the next generation can build or only watch. And you can see this in daily life. Think of a student in a rural area who cannot access good teaching consistently. If internet is weak, the best AI tutor in the world is useless. Think of a health clinic where staff are trying to make decisions with limited resources. If the system is not reliable, the tool is not there when it matters. Think of a farmer who needs advice at the right moment in the season. If it is expensive or slow, they will not use it. So the talk is pushing a structural point. If you want AI to be inclusive, you must build the base layer that makes inclusion possible. Otherwise, the most powerful systems will cluster in a few places and the rest will depend on them. Now let us reframe with a new perspective. Instead of thinking of AI as a race, think of it as a set of choices. A race makes you ask who is ahead. A set of choices makes you ask ahead at what, for whom, at what cost, with what benefit. The future is not a trophy. It is a design. And one of the most powerful ideas here is that constraints can improve design. When you cannot assume perfect conditions, you learn to build tools that are lighter, cheaper, more efficient, more robust. When you cannot assume one language, you learn to build for many. When you cannot assume stable institutions, you learn to build tools that fit community life. This is not romantic. It is practical. It is the kind of design that often ends up being useful for the whole world. Because more and more places are facing instability, resource limits, climate stress, rising costs, and huge demand for education and health. The kinds of AI that work under constraint may be the kinds of AI that will matter most. Now apply this to daily life so it does not stay as a big speech. Imagine a young person in a small town. They have a phone. They have digital skills. They know how to navigate apps quickly. But there are not enough formal jobs. The old story says they are stuck. The new story says they might become a kind of local bridge. They can learn a set of AI-supported skills. They can offer services that used to require a rare expert. They can help students learn. They can help clinics handle basic screening and guidance. They can help farmers identify plant disease and choose better inputs. They can be paid in ways that fit local finance systems. This creates a new shape of work. It is not the classic office job. It is not a single profession with one title. It is mixed. It changes by hour and by season. It is closer to community life. And it can be a way to reduce unemployment by creating many small points of value. It is also a way to increase dignity. Because the person is not waiting to be rescued. They are doing work that matters. They are becoming trusted. They are building skills. They are earning. They are contributing. That matters. And you can also see the ripple effect. When one person can support education, more kids learn. When more kids learn, more people can train for better roles. When one person can support health decisions, fewer people wait too long. When fewer people wait too long, outcomes improve. When one person can support farming decisions, yields rise. When yields rise, families have more stability. These are not small things. They are basic life improvements. And they come from focusing on multiplication rather than substitution. The daily example matters because it also shows a warning. If the tools are not local, if the data is not local, if the language is not local, then the advice can be wrong. It can misread symptoms. It can misread crops. It can misread context. So local intelligence is not a luxury. It is safety. It is relevance. It is respect. That is why building local data and local models matters. It is not only about pride. It is about usefulness. It is about not forcing people to live inside someone else's assumptions. Now the optional deepening, without adding new topics. Just sit with the feeling behind this. Many people outside Africa hold a quiet habit of low expectation. They may not mean to. They may even think they are being realistic. But they carry the idea that big change comes from a few centers. That habit shapes investment. It shapes media. It shapes partnerships. It shapes what gets taken seriously. And when that habit meets a place where young people are hungry to build, it can become a wall. So part of the revolution here is not only technical. It is psychological. It is about changing who we imagine as a maker of the future. Because if you believe the future can only be made in a few places, you will keep building systems that make that true. But if you begin to believe the future will be made in many places, you start looking for talent everywhere. You start building access. You start sharing compute. You start supporting education. You start funding local startups. You start creating networks across regions, not only from center to edge. And there is also another deeper emotional layer. Many people fear AI because they fear being replaced. That fear is real. But there is another fear that is quieter. The fear of being irrelevant. The fear that your place, your language, your problems, your life, will not matter in the new age. The strongest answer to that fear is not a speech. It is participation. It is building. It is creating local tools. It is training local developers. It is making AI speak in the languages people use at home. It is using AI to solve the problems that do not trend on social media but shape daily survival. And this is why the story feels like an invitation. Not an invitation to clap for a continent. An invitation to update your map of the world. An invitation to stop asking who will catch up and start asking who is already inventing. An invitation to notice that the next billion users will not use AI like the first billion did, because their needs are different, their constraints are different, and their creativity is different. So as you hold all of this in mind, and you think about how you yourself talk about progress and technology, where in your own thinking do you still assume the future has only one center?